There was a time in Ada's life when she felt trapped in patterns she couldn't break. She would wake up late, scroll endlessly on her phone, rush through her day, react emotionally to small problems, and promise herself every night, "Tomorrow, I'll do better." Tomorrow rarely came. She didn't lack ambition. She lacked consistency. And consistency is nothing more than habit. One morning, overwhelmed and tired of repeating the same cycle, she did something simple. Before touching her phone, before checking messages, before reacting to the world, she prayed. It's not for money, not for instant success, but for discipline, for clarity, for strength to do what she already knew she should do. She didn't know it then, but that moment would begin to change her brain and her habits. The science behind prayer and habit formation. Every habit you have, good or bad, lives in your brain as a repeated neural pathway. When you procrastinate often, that pathway strengthens. When you react in anger often, that pathway strengthens. When you choose discipline often, that pathway strengthens. It reinforces repetition. Now, here is what is powerful. Intentional prayer activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-control, decision-making, and long-term thinking. At the same time, it helps calm the amygdala, the brain's fear and impulse center. In simple terms, prayer strengthens your ability to pause, and the pause is where habits change. The power of the pause habits are automatic. You don't decide to scroll for 45 minutes. You don't decide to overreact. You don't decide to procrastinate. It just happens. But when Ada started praying each morning, something subtle began to shift. When she felt the urge to scroll, she paused. When she felt anger rising, she paused. When she wanted to skip the gym, she paused. That pause was new, and that pause was everything, because prayer trains the brain to slow down before reacting, creates space between stimulus and response. And inside that space, new habits are born. Prayer builds discipline from the inside out. Most people try to change habits with force. They download productivity apps. They write long to-do lists. They depend on motivation, but motivation fades. What builds lasting habits is internal alignment. When you pray consistently, especially with gratitude and surrender, your brain experiences reduced stress hormones, increased emotional regulation, greater mental clarity, stronger impulse control. Stress fuels bad habits. Calm fuels discipline. The more peaceful your nervous system becomes, the easier it is to choose wisely. Ada noticed something powerful after weeks of daily prayer. She didn't fight herself as much. Waking up early felt easier. Saying no to distractions felt natural. Finishing tasks felt satisfying. Prayer wasn't magically changing her schedule. It was changing her chemistry. And chemistry changes behavior. Repetition rewires you. Here's a truth most people ignore. What you repeat, you become. When you repeat worry, you become anxious. When you repeat fear, you become hesitant. When you repeat prayer, you become grounded. Neuroscience shows that repeated focused thought strengthens neural connections. When prayer includes gratitude, hope, reflection, and intention, you are reinforcing pathways linked to patience, self-awareness, delayed gratification, compassion, self-discipline. That's why people who pray consistently often appear calmer and more stable under pressure. They are not perfect. They are practiced. From habit loops to holy discipline, a habit has three parts: cue, routine, reward. For Ada, stress was the cue. Scrolling was the routine. Distraction was the reward. But prayer replaced the routine. Stress became the cue. Prayer became the response. Peace became the reward. And peace is more powerful than distraction. Over time, her brain began to crave clarity more than chaos. That is how transformation happens. It's not overnight, but neuron by neuron. The ripple effect, as her habits changed, her life followed. She became more consistent at work. She kept promises to herself, handled criticism without collapsing. She started finishing what she began. It's not because life became easy, but because she became stronger. Prayer didn't remove challenges. It built capacity. Capacity creates sustainable success. The deeper lesson prayer is not just spiritual communication. It is mental training. It teaches you to reflect before reacting, surrender what you cannot control, focus on what you can control, choose long-term growth over short-term comfort. That is the foundation of every powerful habit. If you want better results, build better habits. If you want better habits, strengthen your mind. If you want to strengthen your mind, train it in stillness. Prayer is stillness with purpose. Final message: maybe you've been trying to change your habits from the outside. New planners, new routines, new promises. But real change begins internally. Before discipline becomes visible, it becomes neurological. Before success becomes public, it becomes chemical. When you pray daily, you are not just speaking words, you are reshaping pathways. You are calming impulses. You are strengthening self-control. You are building a mind that supports consistency, and consistency builds destiny. Start small. One sincere prayer each morning, one intentional pause before reacting, one decision aligned with who you want to become. Because when prayer changes your brain changes your habits change your life.